Welcome to this week's episode of Capital City Sports. I'm your host, Kevin Blekicki. Let's get started. The Gamecock baseball team returned to Columbia following a 2-week road trip as they took on Presbyterian. Emma Milner was at Founders Park with the coverage.
Thanks, Kevin. The Gamecocks are back in Columbia after a 2-week road trip which featured their series against Kentucky and Arkansas. Today they look to take on Presbyterian College in an annual non-conference matchup. Foreshadowing PC's night on offense, the first inning would showcase an explosive display of hitting by the Blue Hose. Presbyterian came out swinging, scoring 2 runs in the first inning, followed by another in the second. The Blue Hose were not perfect, though, and South Carolina capitalized on PC's weaker defense in the third. After freshman Andrew Burden walked Carlos Cortez and Madison Stokes, a triple by L.T. Tolbert put the Gamecocks back in the game, narrowing the score 3-2. Burden would continue to underperform, walking Justin Rowe and giving up a double to Jacob Olson, which would bring Rowe home and tie up the score 3-3. Fast forwarding to the 5th, a double would get PC's Nick Goumbarda in scoring position for Jonathan White's double, which would put the Blue Hose back on top 4-3. This would be the deciding factor in this matchup as the Blue Hose would go on to score 3 more runs and ultimately win the game 7-4. Presbyterian College may have came into this matchup as the underdog, but they came ready to fight. Gamecock errors and a strong PC offense led the Blue Hose to their 7-4 victory over the Gamecocks. South Carolina will be back at Founders Park on Friday to take on the LSU Tigers at 7 o'clock. For Capital City Sports, I'm Emma Milner.
The softball team was back in action on Wednesday as they looked to bounce back with a win versus Campbell University. Jack Taylor was at Beckham Field.
After being swept by the Florida Gators this past weekend, the South Carolina Gamecocks return home, taking on Campbell University and looking to come away with a win. The Camels came out firing on all cylinders as they scored an early homer in the beginning of the first inning, and they kept it going with a 2-hit homer at the top of the 4th. But the Gamecocks wouldn't go down without a fight. After trying to get something going all game, they were finally able to come away with a 2-hit homer at the bottom of the 4th. Kayla Drotar was able to ignite the Gamecock offense with her home run. No matter how hard the Gamecocks tried, they couldn't get anything going for the rest of the game. The Gamecocks put up a tough fight against Campbell University, but they were not able to get over the hump as they fell 3-2. South Carolina will look to regain its winning streak as they take on Missouri this coming weekend. For Capital City Sports, I'm Jack Taylor.
The baseball team opened up a big 3-game weekend series on Friday versus their SEC rival, the 19th-ranked LSU Tigers. Natalie Smith was there to break it down.
Thanks, Kevin. Coming off of a loss to Presbyterian College on Tuesday, the Gamecocks looked to get a win against the LSU Tigers in Game 1 of the series here at Founders Park.
It was a must-win game for the Gamecocks as they try to hang on to their hopes of making the NCAA tournament. Carlos Cortez got the offense started off early with a solo home run in the bottom of the 1st. A TJ Hopkins double in the bottom of the 4th would put the Gamecocks up 3-0. Logan Chapman had an outstanding performance, earning 6 strikeouts and shutting down LSU early. He would end up going 6 2/3 and picking up his 3rd win of the season. Sawyer Bridges came in relief and delivered. He finished off the Tigers, completing the combined shutout and guaranteeing the win. The bats were hot for the Gamecocks as they would go on to score 11 runs and win the game.
South Carolina takes the opening game of the series 11-0. Game 2 first pitch will be tomorrow at 4 p.m. here at Founders Park. The Gamecocks will try to keep the Tigers tame. For Capital City Sports, I'm Natalie Smith.
That does it for this week's episode of Capital City Sports. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at CCS on SGTV and like us on Facebook at Student Gamecock Television. Once again, I've been your host, Kevin Blekicki. Have a great week.